Well, hello everyone, and welcome to, well, I talked about this a little bit last week, but I wanted to do a Pokemon Nuzlocke, and I've started a couple. Mainly, I started a Pokemon Blue Nuzlocke over on Twitch, but I haven't found the time to get back around to doing that. However, I feel like it's a good thing to just kind of get in the habit of doing and practicing. And so I wanted to start a new and different Nuzlocke here on the YouTube channel. And we'll just kind of see how the viewership compares between the two. We will be playing through a different version. We'll be playing through red version instead of blue version. But all of the same type of strategies and other things apply. Now, the one thing that I will be doing, it's a little bit different than some people would do, is I will be selecting my starter randomly. This game is not randomized, but I will spin a wheel. You will see that wheel on the screen, and that is really the only random aspect that I will have in this game. I played through Fire Red recently and used Charmander. I believe we have Bulbasaur in the blue Nuzlocke that we're doing that's been on hiatus for a while on Twitch. But I feel like that adds an interesting amount of randomness to the overall experience. So let's go ahead and jump into the game. Let's start ourselves up a save file, and I will catch up with you when the next interesting thing happens. But this is going to be a lot more in-depth than some of the other playthroughs that you've seen me do at this point, where we're going to get rid of a lot of the grinding, but you will still see my genuine reactions to things if I end up running into something completely horrendous. So I'm going to make the couple of adjustments that I want. We're going to be playing on set style and fast text speed. No other real changes here. And let's go ahead and start ourselves a file. I'll catch up with you when Professor Oak is giving us our choices between our starters. Alright, here we are. Professor Oak is about to give us a choice between our first starter Pokemon. But, what is that going to be? Well, we are going to find out right now. And it just so happens that I already have this set up fairly easily to view. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give this a spin. Whatever it lands on is going to be the starter of our selection. So let's click that spin button. We'll see it whirling around, and what are we going to land on? We are going to land on Charmander. Okay, that's going to make the early game a little bit more difficult, but I think that we may be able to manage that. So let's go ahead and jump back into our game here. And let's see where that ends up taking us. I believe Charmander was this first one. Yes. So Charmander, let's go ahead and pick it. There we go. Here's our Charmander, and hopefully he lives for more than 3 minutes. We are going to go ahead and give a nickname to Charmander. We're going to name him... we'll name him Theo, I think. That's a pretty good name. So there's Theo, our Charmander, and here comes our rival, and you didn't get to see me naming him, but Murphy is what we've named our rival. He has a Squirtle, which is mildly terrifying, but there's going to be a lot of ample opportunity for us to get a grass type that can counter that. So let's go ahead and try to leave so Murphy can challenge us to a battle. And I can't... he has Tail Whip, I believe, in this version, which is... can be problematic, but we have, I believe, Scratch instead of Tackle, which is better because it doesn't have a chance of missing. So we'll go ahead and hit that Scratch. Actually, it does have a chance of missing because Gen 1 is bugged to some degree, to the point where certain things work differently. Let's see if we can make our way through our first rival battle, and I will be playing this to the effect of if I lose this battle, we will be resetting. He tail whipped again, which is better for me, and I still didn't get a crit. Okay, he's wasted more of his turns with a tail whip, which means that even if he lands a tackle right now, we are still going to be okay. So that is everything. The crit came in at the end. I wish it would have come into play earlier so my heart didn't start racing as much, but that's all good. Theo has leveled up to level 6, and now we can make our way up towards the next town, and we've got a lot of things we need to do. Now, my dupes clause will be active during this, so if I run into a repeat encounter, that's something that I can choose to skip, but I can make that choice to keep that Pokemon as well if I think that it would be beneficial to do so. However, none of that is coming into effect until we have Pokeballs, so let's make our way to our next point on our trajectory and see where we end up. I can't remember if I can get the town map here at this point or if it's later. And nope, I have to get it after I've made my way back from the first area. So let's go ahead and make our way to that next town. Let's collect the parcel that we need and be prepared to head back. All right, so I have a bit of a strategy here for catching our first couple of Pokemon. So let's go ahead and get ourselves... It's probably a bit of a stretch on my funds at the moment, but I'm going to get 15 Pokeballs because I'm not getting into any trainer fights that are immediately going to cause me any trouble. So we're going to go ahead and get that. We're then going to stop in at the Mart and make sure, not the Mart, but the Poke Center. We're going to head over to the PC and we're going to grab our one potion that's complimentary in our system. And we can gain more of these as we need them. Let's go ahead and withdraw that potion so we have it available to us should we need it. And then here's where part of my strategy comes in for this. So we have Route 1, of course, down here where we can get an encounter. So we're going to get an encounter here. We're then going to go up to Route 2 and get our encounter there as well. Once we have both of those encounters, we're going to head over to Route 22, which is the introduction to the Victory Road. We're not going to get into the rival battle there because I kind of scared of what's going to happen when and if I get to that point, but it will give us a better chance of getting a Nidoran out of that route because Nidoran would be really good to have on our team since we should eliminate a Rattata and a Pidgey on our encounters from both Route 1 and 2. We may not, but we will find out if that is the case. So let's see what we've got. Rattata. That's actually a lot better than I think most people recognize it as. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it a singular scratch. That shouldn't KO, but it should get it low. But now I've got to take into consideration that I could take it out with a crit. So I'm going to go ahead and pivot straight to a Pokeball. It should be fairly easy to catch here on these earlier routes, even at lower levels, even though he got out of that. That's disconcerting. Let's go ahead and try another one. That's why I bought 15 of these Pokeballs, which hopefully this works out in our favor. Rattata, great. The reason that Rattata is really good to have is because even though it's a normal type, we can get ourselves Super Fang once it evolves into Eradicate and Hyper Fang as well, which are really good for cutting through some of the more tricky opponents. So let's go ahead and give a nickname to our Rattata. We're going to name our Rattata... let's go ahead and name this Rattata... No, that's not a good name. Let's go with Larry. That should be pretty good there. Now we've got Larry on our team. We're going to go ahead and switch him to the front of the party so we can start getting some switch training in here. We're now going to go heal, and then we're going to hit Route 2 before heading over to Route 22. And I have a tracker over here that I'm keeping track of things in just for my sake. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that down as Rattata having been captured for Route 1. Okay, and now here is our encounter for Route 2. Let's see what we end up with here. If it's another Rattata, we can claim the Dupes Clause, but no, it's going to be a Pidgey. And this Pidgey is at level 3, which isn't phenomenal, because I think it only knows Gust and Sand Attack. Gust, let's see how much that does. That does 5, so I am dead to a crit right now. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to Theo just to play things safe. And that Gust is going to come in and hit again. but it's going to do significantly less damage this time around. So let's go ahead and throw a Pokeball at this Pidgey. It's again at a relatively low level, so we should have an easy enough time catching it, which we did. We've got Pidgey, which is fine if we want to use Pidgey as our flyable Pokemon at some point down the road. We will give a nickname to this Pidgey, and we're going to name... This is going to be a female Pidgey. I know genders aren't inherently built into this generation, but we're going to name her Sue. We're going to head back down to town, and we are going to heal up before going over to Route 22 and getting our third encounter. Here we are on Route 22. And let's see what we get for our encounter here. I think a Spearow is technically a possibility, but we're going to hopefully get out of any of these Dupe's Claws encounters. And this is another Rattata, which we should be able to take out with our own Rattata since we have a higher level than the Rattata. It didn't Tail Whip us, which is good, and its tackles are not doing enough damage to really put us in any tricky situations there. So let's go ahead and take out that Rattata. That's not enough for us to level up, but it is enough for us to gain some experience. Now, we still have an encounter that we can get here since that was a duplicate encounter from previous route. Let's see what we run into. Another Rattata, that's fine. And this is at a level 3. I'm pretty sure that I'm dead to crit here, so we are going to switch over to Theo. And just in case we ended up getting hit too strongly by it, we should be in a relatively safe space here with Theo leading the party. Now, I wouldn't bother doing this if it wasn't imperative to grinding up the team to a higher level, but it is something that I should take into consideration. Let's see if we end up getting any encounter in this patch of grass. Again, Nidoran is a fairly low encounter rate, but I should hopefully be able to find it because I can keep cycling the Dupe's Claws encounters that we have. So there's the tackle from the Rattata, and we're just going to continue to switch train in our Pokemon as efficiently as we can. So here comes another Scratch. And there is another critical hit on that second one. I guess it's interesting because you have to take into consideration that crits are based off of speed in Gen 1, which was quickly rectified for later iterations. We've switched Sue to the front of our party, so we should be in a much safer space to end up taking a hit. And Spearow. That's okay. I was really hoping to get a Nidoran in this patch of grass. Because Nidoran would have been really good to have, but we're going to take it where we can get it. That's a Peck, and that was a critical hit Peck, which is not particularly great. So we are going to switch back over to Theo because any strike from this Spearow was going to take us out. We should be in a relatively safe space to Scratch here. That'll take Spearow down not as low as I wanted it to go. But we can now throw our Pokeball at the Spearow, and we're probably going to box the Pidgey. And the reason I want to box the Pidgey is because I value the Spearow more for a few different reasons, one of which it has the strongest flying type move in the game is Fearow with Drill Peck. That was so close. You know what? He's growled me a couple of times, so I am going to risk another Scratch because it's not going to do as much. And I can live through another Peck, but just barely. Let's see if we get any better luck catching the Spearow this time around. But I value Drill Peck more than I value anything that Pidgey has. Pidgey has moves that are widely available throughout a lot of the rest of the cast. So the Pidgey will be taking a back seat. We also don't have to grind up the Spearow as much. So let's go ahead and, yes, give a nickname to Spearow. We're going to nickname this Spearow... what should we name this Spearow? Let's go ahead and name him Ollie. I think that's a good name there. So there's our Spearow. I would have preferred a Nidoran, but hey, you don't get to pick and choose here. So let's head back into town. Let's heal up our team. Let's ditch the Pidgey in our box, and then we'll make some progress in Viridian Forest. And having Peck in our team is going to be really good for all these bug trainers we're going to run into as well. Alright, here we are in Viridian Forest. Now, there's one of 3 encounters we can get here. And there's no way for us to force a certain encounter. So our options are a Caterpie, a Weedle, or a very, very, very low chance of a Pikachu, which I've just accepted is not going to happen. I would love to have a Pikachu because it would be great to have an electric type of this early on, but the odds of that happening are very low. And let's see what we have. A Kakuna. I guess I didn't realize that that was one of the ones that we could get as well. But that takes care of our Weedle line. Will I end up using it? Probably not. Now, this cannot attack me because it's a wild Kakuna, which only knows Harden. We're going to throw a Pokeball at it again here. We'll give it one more chance to Harden. Then we're going to go ahead and give it a Peck. Hopefully that doesn't kill it outright, which it didn't. Though it would be dead to crit now, so we're going to try that Pokeball one more time. And that's unfortunate. We're going to Peck one more time in lieu of the crit. And now we should be able to catch it. Just because I don't really want to give up on an encounter where I can avoid it. Okay, that's a Kakuna caught. Will we use a Beedrill on the team? Probably not, because Beedrill is not a phenomenal typing, honestly, with becoming a bug poison type. It's just weak. Like, a bug type would be good because it's decent against psychics, but the poison type kind of negates that because the psychics can just eat right through it, and the strongest bug type move in the game, Twin Needle, is specific to Kakuna, but it's not particularly strong. So we're going to go ahead and name this guy Fodder. And I honestly don't anticipate using it, but hey, it's a member of the team now, so that's something, I suppose. Let's make our way over to some of these trainers then. I don't think this guy wants to fight me. And yep, that's the case. So let's head up to an actual trainer battle here, which is going to be right here. And here comes the fight with this trainer, which should go really smoothly because I have a Spearow at the front of our party. Ollie should be able to sweep through these guys very easily. Because we have a level advantage and we have a type advantage. Please, for all that is holy, do not poison me, because that would be really bad. I don't have any antidotes on me. And in this gen, if you get poisoned, you either antidote it or you walk until your Pokemon faints. That's just kind of how it works. Okay, there's a Peck. And that's a Caterpie out of the way. Nice. And we finally got some extra money as well, which is always a good thing. Let's head into this next battle now. And again, it should be fairly straightforward with us having a Spearow. And unfortunately, my Charmander doesn't know Ember yet, which is another super effective move. Nice critical hit there. More of that, Ollie. We need that to get ahead of these Weedles that these trainers are throwing out. We know Leer, that's fine. I don't foresee myself using that a whole lot. Now I'm going to pivot over to... we're going to pivot over to Larry, because this Kakuna is only going to Harden. That's the only thing that it knows. So we're just going to quickly make our way through this fight. And by quickly, I mean it's going to take us forever. So I am going to speed through this so you don't have to watch me bash my head into the Kakuna for the remainder of this fight. Actually, we seem to be doing okay for whatever reason, so maybe I won't. There's another quick attack. And yeah, now it's slowing down. I've talked through the remainder of this fight with the Kakuna, though, so we're just gonna go with it. because we can get additional experience onto Larry, and Larry can get ahead of the defense increases that they have with that quick attack. Here's another Weedle coming out. We're going to start off with a quick attack here from Larry. I don't know how much that's going to do. String Shot, that's good. I mean, it's not good because our speed falls, but we have a priority move in the form of quick attack. And here comes the Poison Sting. Please don't get poisoned. We did not. That's the end of this fight. And I am going to back out and heal at the nearest Pokemon Center just to be absolutely safe. Especially because we now need to switch our Charmander to the front of our party so we can get him some additional experience as well. Okay, final trainer of Viridian Forest. We have another bug trainer. We were able to get Theo up to level 9, so he now knows Ember, which is a special move that should allow us to literally burn through our opponent's team, and we just got poisoned, which is not great. We're going to Ember here so we can get through the Weedle. And then I think... Oh, Theo grew to level 10. That's nice. And that's all he had. So I now have 27 steps to get myself to a Pokemon Center, and I'm just about there if I can make myself away. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're more than fine. Now, as for this little patch of grass here, this is still technically Route 2. I cannot take an encounter here. So my team going into this fight with Brock is Theo the Charmander, Larry the Rattata, and Ollie the Spearow. And 2 of the members of my team are very weak to everything he has in his gym. Now, I don't normally go into these fights or into these gym encounters with the intention of avoiding trainers because I think that they give us a valuable experience. But if I can get around the trainer that's right here in this gym, which I can in this generation, if I can get back behind him and avoid him altogether, I'm going to be in a much better and much more secure position going into Brock. Now, the only other thing that I haven't mentioned is I am avoiding over-leveling, which means that this is going to be an offensive slog against the different members of Brock's gym. Fortunately for me, none of his rock type Pokemon know rock type moves, so I should be able to get away with rotating in different members of my team. However, I want to get Larry up to a point where when defeating the Geodude, he will go over to level 14, because that is the level of Brock's Onix. And when Rattata hits level 14, he gains access to Super Fang, which is a very powerful move. I can then Tail Whip him down to the point where I can Super Fang him with dropped defenses and hopefully make it through his bides. But that's going to require some grinding, and so I'm going to be here in this patch of grass to make sure that all of my team gets up to an acceptable level. Alright, so we're here at the Pewter City Gym, and let's just kind of show you where my team's at right now. Everyone is at level 13. Now, I'm going to switch Ollie to the front of the party for a few reasons. One, because Geodude does not know any rock-type moves in this gen, I am able to set up some growls to lower his attack. And that should prove to be fairly good in the realm of what we're hoping to do. Now, Larry is within very, very close range of anything being defeated as long as he participates in the battle of leveling up to level 14, where he will then learn Super Fang. So that ultimately is the determined path of success to get around Brock here. Will it pan out? I don't know. I desperately hope that that's the case. And here is kind of where I think that I would have benefited from having Pidgey on my team, because if I had Pidgey on my team, I would have Sand Attack at this point and I could lower accuracy, because I don't have anything super effective against any of his Pokemon. Fortunately, neither does he. So let's lay into Brock here and see how well this goes for us. I'm not overly optimistic about it, if I'm being completely honest. So, we have our Spearow, Ollie, coming out to play first. And we are going to growl a couple of times to get his attack down. And he's going to raise his defense, which isn't ideal. But if we can get his attack down as low as it can go, then we'll be in a much better position when we eventually do start attacking him. Because he's not going to do a whole lot to us, especially as we drop his attack lower and lower. And we're going to go until this says that his attack can't drop any more than it already has. Or already is. And that should give us some really nice leeway against this Geodude. So it said nothing happened. That means that we're in a position where we can now switch over to Larry. Now Larry over here is going to get in some quick attacks because we want to get as many attacks in against this Geodude as we can. But we're going to Tail Whip once or twice to help drop his defense. And basically anytime he tackles me instead, that was a crit. We are going to tackle or quick attack back. And I'm not overly optimistic about this. And why did tackle do so much more than quick attack did? That's perplexing. I didn't crit that first time, did I? Yeah, I'm not going to win this with this strategy. I have to switch again, because Peck is really not effective against this. So we're going to bring out Theo, and he shouldn't be able to do a whole lot to me. And it's not very effective, but he's raising his physical defense every time he defense curls. And so we're just going to Ember our way through this fight because we can get additional damage in here. Okay, there is the last Ember. And that's pretty good. Larry grew to level 14, learned Hyper Fang. That's exactly what we wanted out of him. Theo is over here. Now, I'm going to fight, but I only have or I was going to check to see what I have. Now, if it's what I'm expecting from this Onix, he's going to go into Bide immediately. He may not. He Screeched instead, which is not great. We're going to go ahead and Tail Whip to start dropping his defense. There's the Bide. So now we've got 2 more turns to Tail Whip. That's a defense fall. That's a defense fall. And it unleashed its energy, but nothing happened. So now, if I Hyper Fang this defense dropped Onix, he's biting again. I don't know if that hit that I landed on him just now counts as energy being stored. I don't feel like it does, and it didn't. Or if it did, the attack missed. So we're going to Hyper Fang again, and it tackles. That's a lot closer than I wanted it to be. It sees a kill with tackle, but I got the kill with Hyper Fang. Oh my gosh. I am freaking out a little bit right now because I had no reason, absolutely no reason to win that fight with no super effective moves against that. That's kind of what I get for picking the one starter that can't do anything in this fight. But at the end of the day, we have come out victorious, and so I will take that for every mile it is worth. Oh my gosh. So, we're going to retreat out of here. We're going to go ahead, we're going to get healed up, we're going to buy some things so we can get some additional Pokeballs and be safe going into our future encounters. We're going to do Route 3, Mount Moon, and Route 4, as well as the Cerulean City Gym in our next episode. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video and the roller coaster that it was, make sure that you leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe for that daily variety content. And I hope to see you next week when we're back at this Nuzlocke. Thank you, and have a fantastic rest of your day.